Namaste, my dear student and other respected viewers as well as listeners. Today, I want to discuss on principal ideal domain. So, first one, I'm going to the definition. So, principal ideal domain is number one. It should be and must be the integral domain, and other conditions. It's every ideal must be principal ideal. So here is the definition: an integral domain ID. D is said to be a principal ideal domain, or in short PID. We use it PID in some places. However, if every ideal of the integral domain is a principal ideal. Here some example. So from this definition it is clear that Z is a PID. As Z is integral domain, you know, and every ideal of Z is of the form mz, and it is clearly generated by the element m. So therefore Z is PID. Number two, every ideal, every field is PID because every field is an integral domain, and as field has only two ideal, there is no non-trivial ideal, and two ideals are the trivial ideals. Number one is zero ideal and the field itself, and zero ideal is generated by zero. Here zero ideal is generated by zero, and the field is nothing but the ideal generated by its unity. So therefore field is a PID, the principal ideal domain. Now we have theorem. We know the definition of Euclidean domain. We discuss Euclidean domain and its properties. Here we want to prove that every Euclidean domain is a principal ideal domain. So for that we consider DV Euclidean domain with valuation V. We want to show that every ideal of D is principal ideal. D each, this should be each, IS. This should be IS. So is a principal ideal. Okay. So now I be an ideal of D. Since D is a commutative ring with unity, so it is enough to show that I equal to dA equal to the ideal generated by A. Why? We have mentioned in ring theory that if a ring R contains unity, then an ideal generated by an element A is nothing but RA, capital R A. So this here I equal to dA for some A belonging to R. So you can prove I equal to dA. It amounts to prove that I equal to this, and so I is principal ideal. So now for it, let I be zero ideal. Then clearly I equal to D into 0. That means all elements of D multiplied by 0, that gives you 0, and so just 0 ideal. Suppose I not equal to 0. So it must contains an element other than that 0. So non-zero element. So consider this collection phi equal to Vx. You know V the valuation of the Euclidean domain D. So P equal to Vx where x not equal to 0. You know the definition of the valuation. So from there I am considering this collection. So P equal to Vx where x not equal to 0 and all such x not equal to 0 belonging to I. So this is a non-empty subset of n, y, because I must contain a non-zero element. So therefore for that non-zero element we can consider Vx. So therefore P is non-empty subset of n, and you know what is the value of Vx. Why it is non-empty subset of n? Why? Vx as V is valuation. So V is a function from D to non-negative integers. So therefore, it is a subset of n, non-empty because of non-zero elements. So P is a non-empty subset of n. So as a non-empty subset of n, by Weyl ordering principle, you know Weyl ordering principle can be applied in case of the natural number set. So by Weyl ordering principle, P contains a least element. Therefore, there exists an element A not equal to 0, surely from the definition of P. So A belonging to I such that VA greater or equal to 0. So VA is the least element. And VA lesser equal to VB for all B not equal to 0, and that B belonging to I. Okay. We now show that I becomes dA. Just we have again mentioned it. Since I is an ideal and A belonging to I, so what does it mean? That means every element of D multiplied with I, A must belong into I. But every element of D multiplied by A gives you the collection dA. So as elements of D are of the form A into element of D, and as I is ideal, also A belonging to I, so this implies all dA, all small dA must belong into I, and therefore dA is a subset of I. Now let B belonging to I, B belonging to I. Since D is in the Euclidean domain, there exists QR belonging to D, general division, such that B equal to AQ plus R, and with the just where R equal to 0 or VR less than VA. So this implies B summon AQ plus R. That means R equal to B minus AQ. So B minus AQ. As B belonging to I, B belonging to I, A belonging to I, so AQ belonging to I because Q belonging to D. So therefore B minus AQ that must belong into I, and that means R belonging to I. Okay. Now the case R equal to 0 or R not equal to 0. If R not equal to 0, then VR belonging to P from definition of P. X not equal to 0. So VR belonging to P. What? VA is the minimal element. So VR cannot be minimal there because A not equal to R. So this is a contradiction. VR belonging to P because VA is the minimal element. So VR cannot belong into P. So it is a contradiction, and therefore we can write R equal to 0, and as R equal to 0, so then B equal to AQ, and B equal to AQ means B belonging to DA. So start from B belonging to I, we show that B belonging to DA, therefore I equal to DA. Therefore I equal to DA. So this is the proof of the theorem. Every Euclidean domain is a principal ideal domain. But very interesting, but it is beyond the scope of our proof that the reverse cannot hold. And for that, we consider this example. Z root over minus 19, that is the collection of all A plus B root minus 19. But with the condition A plus B is even, that A plus B is even. With this particular case, this collection is principal ideal domain, but not Euclidean domain. Prove beyond the scope of the study. Very tough. So from what we can conclude at that point of view that every Euclidean domain is principal ideal domain, but there exists a principal ideal domain here, Z root minus 9, which cannot be Euclidean domain. So therefore, collection of all Euclidean domains is a proper subset of the collection of all principal ideal domain. Okay. Now, you know Fx, Zi are Euclidean domain. In Euclidean domain chapter, we have discussed it. So by this theorem, we can say that Fx, Zi are PID. But we shall give an independent proof of Fx to be PID. However, we have summarized some facts. So before that, we have this theorem, which is nothing but a summary of the following facts. R be a commutative ring with unity, then the following are equivalent. R is a field, Rx is a Euclidean domain, Rx is a principal ideal domain. These three are equivalent. One implies other and implied by also. So for the proof, 1 implies 2 is clear because R is a field, then Rx is an Euclidean domain. We have proved it earlier in the chapter Euclidean domain. So 1 implies 2, but 2 implies 3. From the previous theorem, just we have discussed, Rx is Euclidean domain, so is a principal ideal domain, as Euclidean domains are principal ideal domains. So therefore 1 implies 2, 2 implies 3 are clear here. For the 3 implies 1, let A belong into R, which is non-zero. And consider ideal I generated by A and X of Rx, generated by the element A and X. Since Rx is PID, because hypothesis is our condition 3, Rx is PID, so there exists fx belonging to Rx such that I equal to the ideal generated by fx. So principal ideal, I will be principal ideal, and therefore I can write I equal to fx. As ax belonging to I equal I generated by x. So therefore ax, these two elements must belong into I. So therefore ax belonging to I means there exist gx and hx such that a belonging to the ideal generated by fx. That means fx into some gx equal to a. Similarly, x belonging to fx ideal generated by fx. That means that x equal to fx into some hx. Since fx and gx, I can repeat it, equal to a, we must have a means what is a? A belonging to R. That means if you consider it A as a member of Rx, then degrees of A becomes 0. Degrees of A becomes 0. Therefore, degree of fx gx becomes 0. Degree of A means 0. So therefore, fx and gx both must have degree becomes 0. So in particular here, degree of fx equal to 0, and so fx belonging to just constant term like, so fx belonging to R. You know the units of R and Rx are same. We have proved. I proved it earlier. Let fx equal to b. So as the degree of fx equal to 0, so fx belonging to R means all constants. So therefore fx equal to b, then we can write fx gx equal to a, fx hx equal to x implies b hx equal to x. Bx equal to x. Because b equal to fx, and we got it from fx hx equal to x. Okay, but hx is a polynomial in x, so you can write it some say c0 c1x plus c2x square, etc. in this type. But from this relation we can have hx has a coefficient of the term x term. So from that, when we compare, we have b, says, as we said that c1x, so we can write then bc1 equal to 1. But as we do not mention it here, the general form of the polynomial, so we can write it in this form, bc equal to 1. But the inner structure, I am what I told to you. So bc equal to 1 means, you know, b and c are units. So what does it mean? B is unit. As B is unit, so B inverse belonging to where? Where? B inverse belonging to surely surely it is of course in R, but yes, of course in R, you can write it. But you multiply it when it is, as it is I generated by fx. Therefore, you then have the units from unit to unity. I come here. Unity belonging to the ideal generated by fx or just I. I am repeating it again. As B is unit, we write it here B equal to I equal to B generated by B equal to Rx. Why? Because B is, if an ideal contains unit, then you know that ideal becomes the whole ring. So here I am telling you a little bit of proof. If B is unit, then B inverse exists. Inner, multiply B by B inverse. And as I generated by B, B means fx. So I contains unity of R, and therefore I becomes whole ring. And as I belong into unity, this unity belonging to I, therefore unity belonging to I, and I becomes AX, ideal generated by X. So there is some linear combination of AX which becomes 1. So 1 becomes some linear combination, and surely this linear combination over the elements of Rx. And so there exists f1x, f2x belonging to Rx such that 1 equal to A f1x plus x f2x. This implies that, what does it mean? This implies that you look this structure. Here, whatever may be the f2x, but all elements must contains a degree of x which is not 0. But here, f1x equal to constant. So the only possibility here, the constant term of f1x multiplied by a becomes 1 when we equate both sides. So therefore there exists d belonging to R, that that d comes from the constant term of f1x. So AD or dA equal to 1 when you compare it. So what does it mean? That means D and A both units. So I have no needs for D, but so I take A as it is unit of R. Therefore, start from here. Let A belonging to R. So as A is unit, A not equal to 0, and any element of A belonging to R which are non-zero, and so unit. So from the definition of field, that R becomes field. Understand it? Okay. So from this theorem, we can at once say that ZX is not a PID. Why? Because if F is a field, then Fx is PID. So as F is not field, so it is not PID. Now I am repeating this statement again. If F is a field, then Fx is PID. Here we take from the statement again. If R is a field, then Rx is PID. If Rx is PID, then R is a field. What does it mean? It means these two are reversible. That means R is field is equivalent to Rx is PID. So if for ZX to be PID, Z must have to be the field, but Z is an integral domain, so it is not field. So therefore, ZX is not principal ideal domain. So we conclude this statement by using this theorem, but sometimes I have to prove it independently. So I am presenting here an independent proof of it. So looking the proof, and you follow almost analogous way the independent proof. So for the independent proof, let us consider S equal to the ideal generated by 2 and x. There we get A and x. So here 2 and x. That means this collection 2fx plus xgx, fxgx belonging to zx. This is an ideal but not prime. I have to show it. This is an ideal. Ideal is very simple. You take two elements here, 2f1x, xg1x, 2f2x, xg2x. Now then subtract it, some element multiply it, some kx in both left side and right side. You get all those belonging to the S. And so it is ideal but not prime. I have to show it. So suppose on contrary, this is a prime ideal, a principal ideal. So for then we can have a hx belonging to zx such that S equal to the ideal generated by hx. Okay. That's 2 and x, you see here, ideal generated by 2 and x. It's 2 and x belonging to the ideal generated by hx, like they are in the proof, in the proof of 3 implies 1. Looking this proof and this proof, that proof and this proof, you take side by side and compare them, you will get the a clear understanding of independent proof and dependent proof. As 2 and x belonging to the ideal generated by hx, so there exists h1x, h2x belonging to zx such that so 2 equal to hx and h1x and x equal to hx into h2x. Okay. So then 2h2x, just multiplied this one by h2x and this one by h1x and then compare. 2h2x equal to x h1x. This shows that, what does it mean? Here is your x, here is your 2. That means this is even. Every coefficient of this one, this polynomial has even, has coefficient which are even, but here, so it gives, as x has no role for evenness, therefore you write it here, all the coefficient of h and x must be even. So this shows that the coefficient of hx are even integers. Actually, even I am saying even means here even integers. So so h1x can be written as 2 into something. 2, you can take 2 common from all coefficients of h1x. So and then the transform form of h1x becomes px. We write it. So h1x equal to 2 into px for some px belonging to zx. Then 2 equal to hx into 2px. Just put it here, h1x, put it here. So 2px. What does it mean? hx into px, just cancel 2 both sides. So hx into px equal to 1. Again, this shows that as hx is ideal, S is the ideal generated by hx, and hxpx must belong into S because ideal. So therefore hxpx equal to as 1, so 1 belonging to S, and this ideal contains unity. Ideal contains unity, and this implies this ideal is nothing but this type of collection. So there exists fx and gx. That means we say qx Rx, I am not coagulating with fx gx, but a particular value of fx, that is qx, a particular value of gx, which is Rx for the element 1. So 1 equal to 2qx plus xrx for some qx rx belonging to zx. We can write it. So let us consider now qx equal to this polynomial and rx equal to this polynomial in zx. Okay. Now put this to value of the polynomials in qx and rx and compare the terms in both sides. We get here 1 is constant term, so take the constant term here. The constant term comes from only this term, 2qx. So therefore 2a0 becomes 1, and it implies a0 equal to half, and half cannot belong into z, cannot belong into z. So therefore a0 not belonging to z. So a contradiction, because we take qx from zx. So therefore a0 must be a member of z. Z means ring of integers. So therefore a contradiction. And so a0, so therefore contradiction due to the fact that if we write s equal to 2x and that s becomes, if it becomes hx, but in reality is not true. Therefore x cannot be written in the form of the ideal generated by hx element, and so therefore it is not principal ideal. Okay. Now we have another independent proof. If f is a field, then fx is a principal ideal domain, an independent proof. So for that, my student, let u be an ideal of fx. We have to show that it will be a principal ideal. Okay. So if u equal to the zero ideal, this one, then we can write it in this form. So it is principal ideal. Suppose u not equal to 0. So there exists a non-zero, we consider u from fx. That means we can write there exists a non-zero polynomial in u. Let s equal to degree fx, where fx belonging to u. You just consider in px at the time of construction of VR. So if you consider the evolution in particular degree fx, then you can have a nice comparison. However, I've come to my point of view, my point. Let s equal to degree fx, fx belonging to u. Okay, as a non-zero polynomial, so degree fx has some value, either 0 or non-zero, of course. Non-zero polynomials means, so zero polynomial means it has degree undefined. If it is constant polynomial, then it is 0, otherwise greater or equal to 0. So s equal to degree fx belonging to u, clearly s not equal to phi, and a subset of the non-negative integers and a subset of the a subset of the non-negative integers. Then it is the list element. Then it has a list element. Call it degree gx, and the element for the element gx, which is belonging to u. If m equal to 0, then gx is a non-zero constant, and so unit, and therefore what it will do? U becomes just the whole ring. Unit means one belonging to the element u, and then u belong whole fx. And therefore, u becomes, as it is generated by 1, therefore u becomes principal ideal. Now, m not equal to 0. M not equal to 0 means m greater than 0. As m greater than 0, so degree of gx equal to m, which is greater or equal to 1. Greater or equal to 1. Because non-negative integers I have written here. I'm mentioning here. So greater equal to 1 degree of gx. So now consider fx. Any polynomial from u. We have to prove that fx is nothing but some polynomial into gx, and therefore we can write them u is generated by gx. And you have seen the proofs. The first proof becomes every Euclidean domain is a principal ideal domain. There is also proof looking like analogous type of this type of proof. So now consider fx a polynomial on u. Then there exists a polynomial qx rx. Just use division algorithm such that fx equal to qx gx plus rx, where either rx equal to 0 or degree of rx less than degree gx. You know the division algorithm in the polynomial ring. Since u is ideal and fx gx belong into u, so fx and qgx must belong into u. Again, u ideal, so just fx minus u, when we apply minus, so fx minus this also belong into u, and this implies rx belong into u. But this rx belong into u, you note it here. So what it means? As the list element is degree of g and rx belong into u, any element of u, so degree of rx must be greater than degree of gx, because degree of gx is minimal. So we can write it degree of gx is must be less than degree of rx. But what I am writing for the division algorithm here, these two are actually contradictory. These two are actually contradictory. These two, this one and this one. So it is only the reason for it is if we write this u becomes a principal ideal if we write it. So not true here. So therefore rx equal to 0. Therefore rx equal to 0. So then rx equal to 0 means fx equal to qx into gx. Qx into gx, and this implies u equal to the gx ideal generated by gx. Okay, and therefore u is principal ideal of fx, and therefore fx is PID. So before going to the next discussion of PID, we recall few results of our convenience. You know it in the divisibility in integral domain. For any two elements AB in an integral domain D, this principal ideal is a subset of principal ideal generated by B if and only B divides A, where A represents principal ideal generated by A. For any element, any two element AB in an integral domain D, this principal ideal A and principal ideal B, these two are same if and only if AP are associated. You know it in the divisibility on integral domain. We have already discussed it. So here is a theorem. Here is a theorem. So Here is a theorem. A non-null ideal, I just cross it here. A non-null ideal P is in an integral domain D is a prime ideal. Prime if and only P is prime. This integral, this ideal generated by P is prime if and only the element P is itself prime. If and only, if and only. So for that, I am considering here is the ideal P be prime and P divides AB where AB belonging to D. So now then then AB belonging to P. P divides AB means AB belonging to P. As this ideal, principal ideal is prime, so either A belonging to this or this belonging to B belonging to this. It is the definition of prime ideal. Okay. This implies now A belonging to this ideal means P divides A, and A belonging to this means P divides B. So P is prime. Conversely, let P be prime and AB belonging to the ideal generated by P. AB belonging to the ideal generated by P. So what does it mean? Then AB can be written as P something C. That means P divides AB. P divides AB. And as P is prime, so P divides A or P divides B. This implies P divides A means A belonging to that ideal and P divides B where P belonging to this principal ideal generated by P. So therefore AB belonging to this ideal generated by P implies A belonging to ideal generated by P or B belonging to the ideal generated by P. This means ideal generated by P is principal ideal. Principal ideal. Okay. So now in a principal ideal ring, an element P is irreducible implies P is prime. Irreducible, P is prime. So for proving the primeness of P, we take P divides AB, AB belonging to R. So then there exists R belonging to R such that P suman RB. You can easily write it. Now this construction is very much essential for proving it. P, this one. Now the ideal generated by P, B, write it here. As it is a principal ideal ring, therefore this ideal generated by P and P must be generated by an element D. That means principal ideal generated by D. So therefore there exists Q belonging to R. Q সমান such that P belonging to QD. Why? As P belonging to the ideal generated by PB, B belonging to ideal generated by B also. That means P and B both are member of this. That means both belonging to this. And as P belonging to this in particular, so P can be written as Q into D. Now P is irreducible. So P is irreducible means either Q or D is unit. That means if Q is unit, then D is associate. If Q is D is unit, then Q is associate. Okay, so I'm writing it either D or Q is unit. So if D is unit, So ideal generated by becomes whole ring. That means PB, the ideal generated by PB becomes R. And R contains 1. Then we can write 1 equal to SP plus TB for some ST belonging to R. Now, what is A equal to both sides? We multiply in both sides by A equal to ASP, ATB. Now, what is your AB? AB means PR. So we put it here, we replace AB by PR here. So then A equal to ASP plus PR into T. PR into T. So take P common, AS plus TR. That means P divides A. That means P divides A. If on the other hand, so we draw it when D is unit. Now we consider when D is not unit, that means if Q is unit. So if Q is unit, then D becomes Q is unit, take from here P summon QD. So D here Q is unit, so just Q inverse you take it. So D becomes Q inverse P. Q inverse P or yes, or PQ inverse, because in principal ideal ring the ring becomes commutative. So PQ inverse then belonging to as it is P belonging to here and Q inverse belonging to R. So therefore PQ inverse belonging to the ideal generated by P. Thus, so what does it mean? D belonging to this ideal. Therefore, ideal generated by D is also subset of the ideal generated by P. From here, we can write it. And this implies ideal generated by D is this one. What is this? This ideal generated by P and ideal generated by P and B must be a subset. And ideal generated by P and B becomes D. Ideal generated becomes B, D here, from here. So therefore, from here, okay. So therefore, we get ideal this both side, in between these two, one. So therefore, this and this becomes equal. That means ideal P generated by P equal to PB, and therefore hence B belonging to this class. Why B belonging to this class? So B means B belonging to here. Therefore, B belonging to this ideal, and B belonging to this ideal means B can be written as P of something, and therefore P divides B. Okay. So from this we have a corollary. You already read in the divisibility in an integral domain that every irreducible prime element is irreducible. Every prime element is irreducible in integral domain. But in principal ring, ideal ring, as well as principal ideal domain, in principal ideal ring, here irreducible element in is prime. So now just club these two concepts. So if we consider principal ideal ring plus integral domain, that means principal ideal domain, then these two concepts combined way gives you irreducible element and prime element are integral are identical. That means prime element and irreducible elements are identical. Okay. So next, in the next lecture, I shall present maximal, ideal, and irreducible elements. An ideal generated by a principal ideal generated by an element P is maximal if and only if it is irreducible. From this, we again discuss so many properties on principal ideal domain. So with these words, I am concluding the first part of the principal ideal domain and its some properties here. Thank you very much, my students and others, and thank you for listening me with patience.